program in the world.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Greatest college basketball program of all time. That was on UK Sports Network. Derek Anderson put a soundbite on that, and he's been so quotable. Well, he was when he played here. And I really think, as I mentioned the other day, the timing of this 96 team, and in particular, Derek talking to the team and the value of wearing that uniform, I don't think the timing could have been any better when you see that this team is getting its act together. And I really believe this. Had he said this in November, would have helped? Yeah, probably a lot. I don't think so. I don't think so, because these kids weren't on the same page. Now they are. Like a lot of teams, they're getting their act together. Kentucky's not the only one. And D.A. is wonderful. He's just absolutely wonderful. My respect for him when he played was off the charts. And this story's been told many times. You know, he had it so bad. For a while, he was sleeping on a park bench in high school. And look what he's done. As a man, he was always calm. And as a leader, he was a leader. He was a leader before he showed up here. So I love that kind of sound. I love it. We're going to do something a little different. Instead of talking about Kentucky right away, which I sometimes don't do, I want to get into Mashburn and Oates. I really like this. And so Oates is full of crap. And I get his sales pitch, but he's full of crap. I'm going to paraphrase something now, and then this is from TNT. Oates will talk about Bediako. We do it again 100 times over. You're going to hear it. But let me tell you what's full of crap. At what particular point in your life are you responsible for yourself? I'm serious as a heart attack. One of the things that is just stupid that athletes at times are coddled. Not every athlete. DA wasn't coddled, okay? But, you know, you go in the G League and you can hear him say he lost some weight. You know, he has a strength coach here and this here and that here. Excuse me, can you have some responsibility for yourself? You want to play in the NBA and you lose weight? How stupid are you? Seriously, how stupid are you? I have no sympathy. Now, I do get this, okay? It might be a little more difficult with the food, but if you want to, you can do it. Do I think most of these guys with a very unscientific survey indicate that they eat crap when you're in G League? Jimmy, what is it? They make 35 grand, or I think that's what it was last year or the year before. Whatever it is, it's not much more. If you find it, Jimmy, holler. But the point is, they're not making a ton of money versus what you make in the NBA. And some of these guys have the split contracts. They're up a certain amount of time, and they're getting paid probably based upon the contract, the NBA minimum, and then they go back to the G League salary. The point is this. If you really want to do it, you will. So I look at a guy like Bediako, and I'm serious. I'm not being mean. I got no sympathy for him. You want to play in the NBA, and you're not lifting extra weights? You want to play in the NBA, it's $45,000 now, Jimmy. Thank you for looking it up. You want to play in the NBA and you're not eating properly? You want to play in the NBA and you're not sleeping properly? But no, when you go to Alabama, we have everything for you. Well, they have everything for you here as well. And there's no question about it. And there's more money here. But the point is this, you gave it up. Period. You gave it up. You walked away. You gambled on yourself and you failed. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. That doesn't mean you failed for your life, but he failed making the NBA. So you bring him back to college. And I still have this problem with these European guys, okay? Some of them have made more money than you think, but I can't forget what Travis Ford told us a couple weeks ago, that he's dealt with these contracts. And he says some of these guys are not making what you think, and I buy that. And some of it's kind of expenses and stuff like that, but it's still money. It's still money. Money. It's still money. So there's a sliding scale. So the Europeans slide, the Americans don't. I really think it should be equal. Whether I don't care if you're from Europe, and I don't care if you're from Alabama. It doesn't make a difference to me. There's no sound system. But when I heard this soundbite from Oates, I'm going, what a bunch of crap. Now, he's a hell of a salesman. He's a great coach. He's a great coach. But you know what I love even more? Jamal Mashburn is, I almost said spectacular. He's really, really, really good. Look, Mash is Mash. He don't hold anything back. He has gone on TV, and instantly, he's one of the best at what he does. I remember the first interview I did with Mash, and I've sold this story before. He's the only athlete I've ever talked to that the first time I talked to, we talked about him wanting to be a businessman. I expected the obvious, talk about the NBA, which we did, by the way, but he wanted to be a businessman. By the way, Jimmy, I bet a lot of people don't either know this or don't remember. His dad was a top 10 heavyweight in the world, by the way, and was a sparring partner, and I don't remember who, but for, I believe, a couple of heavyweight champs. And his mom was lovely, by the way. She was an accountant. Got to talk to her a few times when she was here. Very professionally dressed, just a lovely lady. And actually, I never met the father, but you could see where Mash got a lot of his class from his mom. From his mom. It was just wonderful. So listen to this. So Bediako can't play. And it's funny, a lot of people have talked about this. You go from a judge with Alabama ties saying he can play. So then they say, hey, you got to get me a judge without Alabama ties. And now he can't play. But I'll tell you what really sucks, and I mean this sincerely. You're a freaking judge. I don't give a crap if you're an Alabama booster. I don't give a crap if you're an Auburn booster. I don't give a crap if you're a Kentucky booster. Rule properly. You're a judge. You're supposed to be above all this crap. And that's one of the big problems in our society. I'm not talking Democrat, Republican. Don't come at me with politics because I just want to throw a lemon meringue pie in your face. I'm being funny. I'm not going to throw anything in your face. It's got nothing to do with Democrats or Republicans. It's got to do with you are a JUDGE. Rule fairly. I thought, as a matter of fact, when the Alabama judge was on, what did I say, Jimmy? I said, hey, you know what? It shouldn't make a difference. He's a judge. Do the right thing. Is it a coincidence now that there's a judge not tied to Alabama and he can't play? I don't think so. And you know what? That's really disappointing for this country. It's really disappointing for this country. Be fair. Can we do things without being biased one way or the other? And again, if you're reading Democrat or Republican, it makes me want to do a raspberry. It has nothing to do with this. Do the right damn thing. Okay, here is Oates. And by the way, Jimmy, when this is played, see if you agree with me. He's very convincing, okay? He's a really good salesman. I mean, really, let me tell you what. It's the kind of thing, what do they used to say about Calipari? He could sell you a pair of shoes whether you need it or not. I would think this was Oates. So let's play this and listen to the particular, and then listen how good Jamal Mashburn is. He ain't taking this crap. He calls him out, and he's very calm about it. Mash, God bless you. Here is Oates on Bediako, and then on TNT, Mashburn responding in a beautiful way.
There's a reason there's a lot of G League players trying to come back to college. The money's a lot better. The development's a lot better. You get way better. You get a full-time dietitian, full-time strength coach. You're not traveling on commercial flights, spending all your time in airports. He's here. He's in school. We're going to help him try to gain weight back that he's lost since he was in the G League. We're going to continue to help his basketball development and continue to help his development as a student and a student athlete. So 100% it was worth it. I'd do the same thing 100 times out of 100 for any of our guys that it made sense to do it with.
All right, your reaction, Mash.
He's selling a lot there. He's selling a lot. From what he said about, obviously the money's better, you're not going to become a better pro by going down to play in college. It's just not happening. The pro game is a different game. I'm pretty much tired of the subject at this particular point. The rules are the rules. The kid went pro. He's trying to come back to school. For whatever reason, NIL money or scholarship, whatever it may be, he gave up his eligibility. That's the bottom line of it. And he's trying to win games. I understand what Nate Oates is trying to do, but at the end of the day, that was just a bunch of nonsense right there when he's comparing the G League to college and the dietitian and all those different things. He had all those things coming out of Alabama.
Right.
And he still didn't make it as a pro.
Jimmy, I loved it. There was a slight pregnant pause before he said nonsense. Now, I used to know Mash pretty well, okay? You know what I thought? I thought he held himself back using another word. Is your take with mine? Oates is a great salesman, but he's full of crap. And look, if you wanted to play in the NFL, Okay, it's not you played college ball, so okay, you didn't play for Kentucky, you played college ball. But if you wanted to take the next step, aren't you supposed to help train yourself? Aren't you supposed to eat right? You're not 12 years old. You're a guy that went through college. You've been taught how to eat properly. You shouldn't lose weight. You've already been taught how to lift weights, which means you're too damn lazy to do everything right. He's lazy. Might be a wonderful human being. He's lazy. Obviously, in the G League, he's not good enough. Now, a lot of guys go to the G League and they get better and better and they improve and they go to the NBA. That's great. But he's not doing all the things he needs to do to get to the NBA. It's BS. It's bogus. Then this young man needs to look himself in the mirror and say, okay, if I've got to lift 6 days a week, I'll do it. How about Walter Payton? You know, when he used to run those hills in the summertime, and I think a lot of people have seen it. Oh, my gosh, I couldn't walk up the thing that he was running. What did he do? He pounded the pavement to make himself better. Bediako lost weight. He lost weight. When I heard that, I'm going, I'm done with you, dude, as a player. I'm done with you. You got no damn discipline. You got no discipline. You want to play in the NBA and you lose weight? You want to play in the NBA and you don't know how to take care of yourself? You want to play in the NBA and you go to the G League and your body goes backwards? Really? Really? And so now your college coach is going to take care of you because you don't know how to do it yourself. Now, I get it. He wants to help his guys. But I like what Mashburn said on TNT. You see what he said? He gave a raspberry. How often does somebody give a raspberry on TV? Bediako shouldn't play in the NBA, but this thing should be fair. Europeans and Americans, one rule. Let me see a contract. You got a contract? Boom, you're gone. You guess what? You went to try to play in the league and you couldn't do it. It's your problem. Go to Europe and play basketball. I bet he can get a contract in Europe. I bet he can make over $100,000 a year. He's not going to make millions unless he gets a lot better. But this whole thing is absolute, unequivocally BS by Oates. It's a bunch of garbage he was selling. A bunch of garbage, and Jamal Mashburn saying whole thing is nonsense. He's absolutely right.
The big takeaway that I had was, like you said, Nate Oates is a great salesman. He gives you that sad, sappy story, and you start to feel bad for a little bit while he's going. And, the student, and he's back, and he's taking classes as if that has anything to do with anything. But the sappy story was pretty good. He could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman wearing white gloves, to quote the great Tommy Boy movie. But it's just, I agree 100% with what you said and what Mashburn said. It's ridiculous that you can't work out and do all of these things on your own. I get it. You're only making $45,000 or whatever a year. You mean to tell me, so why isn't every other G League player doing the same thing? We should see, everyone should be losing weight and these guys should look malnutritioned while they're out there playing in the G League, according to what Nate Oates is saying.
It's pretty simple. You've had the wherewithal because of your talent to go to a school like Alabama. You've had all these things, okay? Therefore, common sense tells you should learn something. And common sense tells you when you go out on your own, you got to take care of yourself. How many kids who can't play sports go to college and all of a sudden they're living on their own and they have to adjust and they have to grow up? Some do, some don't. And you would think in Bediako's case that he would say, okay, I get it. The travel sucks. I get it. There's a lot of cheeseburgers around and fast food. I get it. But you know what? If you really want to, you can find a way to buy better food. You really can. You can. Does it take a little more time? Sure. But you want to make millions of dollars a year and you don't have the brains and determination? See, to me, I'm not calling him a stupid human being. I'm not doing that. He might be a very smart man. I have no idea. But when it comes to your profession, this is not very smart. It's not. So guess what? Go back to daddy. Go back to your coach. Let him take care of you. Let him put you back in the cocoon. Really, back in the cocoon. Yes, we'll do everything for you. You remember what I said about Tyler Bell? What a great young man. I think we played it a little over a week ago. And I was surprised. There was one thing about him I didn't know. I know the rule that after 2 years, if you're at a certain age, you don't have to play college ball that third year and get drafted. I know the rule, but I didn't realize he was that old. And so when he initially decided to go to Kentucky, I think it was number 66, Jimmy, whatever it was, like draft number 66 in the second round for Tampa Bay, which is a hell of an organization. It's a lot of money. He turned it down to come to Kentucky, and he said he bet on himself. And then one of the things we talked about is, well, think about it. If you're going to Class A ball, or he might have started at a high Class A if he's a second round draft choice, whatever the hell it is, it's buses, right? It's greasy cheeseburgers. The food sucks. A lot of these places have weight rooms now, a lot too. Gee, you come to Kentucky. The bus that they travel in, Jimmy, pretty damn sweet. The training table, Jimmy, the training table is better than you and I have in our house. It just is. And by the way, I'm not being jealous. I'm just telling you how good it is. He can eat steak anytime he wants. He travels so much better. There is, in the diet, the nutrition, and this and that. It's all here. And so I came to the conclusion once I realized he was older. Not only is he betting on himself, but do you want to ride the buses late at night, bouncing around minor league baseball when you can play ball at Kentucky? And by the way, there are some people think he might be a top 5 pick. Who knows? It depends upon the year. He's probably going to be a first-round draft choice and make a whole lot of money. And he bet on himself, and it's smart. But the conditions at Kentucky are far superior than going to any Class A, any Class High A. And you know what? I'll go Double A. It's wonderful here. And Kentucky's not the only school. So what he did was smart. Okay? But you know what, Jimmy? When Bell goes to the minor leagues, and let's say he's playing in Double A, do you think he's going to take care of himself better than Bediako?
You would assume so.
Yes, I'm a betting man. And again, this is not personal against Bediako. But if what you want to do is your profession and then you lose weight and you're not taking care of yourself, and by the way, you've already been shown. And here's something else. If you've never been shown, shouldn't you be curious to find out? Shouldn't you be curious to find out? What do I have to do? Come on. This stuff is just, it infuriates me. Is there anything I'm saying you disagree with about learning how to take care of yourself?
No, absolutely not. And what I am trying to look back at, he looked like he was still pretty well built whenever he played those 5 games with Alabama. It's not like he came on the floor and everyone went, oh my God, who is this guy? Look, he looks like he can barely stand up. Like he looked almost the exact same that he did. So I feel like that's just more of the salesman fluff that Nate Oates was doing to make it seem as if he had no place to work out and he had no money to eat.
I thought he looked good too.
Yeah.
These G League places, I think, have some sparse weight rooms. I think they do. There's a wherewithal. And by the way, weights are weights. It'd be nice to have a weight room like Kentucky in the G Leagues. They're not going to have that, or at Alabama and that kind of stuff. And you know what? There are weights accessible, I believe, to him. And if not, I know in some minor leagues they have deals where you can go to a health club and work out there or something like that. Look, if you want to do it, you're going to do it. It's a pretty simple deal.
That's the key.
Yeah, if you want to do it. And you got to go back to your daddy, your coach, to take care of you. And by the way, there's a little part of this that's not disingenuous about Oates. And tell me if I'm nuts by buying this. Bediako was his kid. Okay, so he's the coach. So it's his job to always take care of the kid. And that part I honestly buy. I do. But how about saying, you know what? You didn't take care of yourself in the G League. Now you're coming back here. We'll take care of you again. That would be an honest thing. When's the last time you've heard an analyst on TV give a raspberry?
It's been a while.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, before I sent it to you, Jimmy, I actually rewound it just to hear the raspberry again. Yeah. I've done raspberries on radio, but, not very many people do raspberries. I mean, it's crazy. This whole thing is just freaking nuts. We're going to flip. And by the way, my dear friend Kenny Rice at 12:30, Brandon Ramsey analyzing hoops at 1 o'clock, Gene Abel, retired sports editor, Lexington Herald leader at 1:15. Nick Roush, loving of UK football at 1:30. So it's a heck of a lineup. Let's go to Patino. And everybody knows who knows him. He's a nut about working out. He's just a nut. And if you work out once a day, and I average more than 7 workouts a week. I do. Am I in shape like Patino? Hell no. Am I too heavy? Yes. Yes, I need to lose weight. But I'm doing all kinds of things. I am not in his class. I will never be in his class. Did you get to listen to this, Jimmy, how many times a day he still works out?
I did.
Were you amazed?
Yeah, it just his schedule. It's not like he's got a typical 9 to 5 where it's easy. You can go in before work, you get home after work. Your kids are old, they've moved out. He's got to fit this. It was impressive.
And by the way, he was doing the same thing here when he had children and stuff like that. His job was his life. That doesn't mean he doesn't have a relationship with his kids, but his job was his life. So listen to this. And what he does, I actually do a little bit of this. There's something to be said with doing a workout in the morning and doing something else, let's say at night, because your body gets to rest a little bit. So what he does is he rests in between, and he still conducts the one-on-one workouts with his team. He still does. And I've said this for years about him. He loves doing that, by the way. When the day comes, he doesn't want to be on the court to himself conduct the one-on-one workouts with his team. That's when I think he's going to quit. He loves going to the gym every day. A lot of coaches, he loves going to the gym every day. He has said more than once there are times he loves the gym more than games, and he's not the only coach to say it. So listen to his workout schedule and what he does. This is nuts.
I go to the gym about 6:15, 6:30, 6:45. Our first individual's at 9. Sometimes at 12 o'clock, I do my second workout. And, you know, my goal is to burn 700 calories on the machines. I used to get up to a little bit more, but 700 is difficult for me now. I get it to 400, 450 in the morning, and I want to do another 250, 300. And then I do the weights with our strength coach. But I have to do that mentally more than physically.
I love that. So cardio, you try to do 4 or 5 days a week?
I do every day.
Every day.
7 days a week.
Okay. And sometimes too. Rick, you're in your 70s. People don't work out 2 times.
Jimmy, did that just cut off, or was that my ear?
Hey, it's mental, it's emotional, and it's physical.
There we go. By the way, the other voice was Mike Rapoli, who has had the favorite for the Derby, I think twice. Was it twice? Anyway, he hasn't won the Derby. He's a billionaire, and he's a sugar daddy for St. John's. I mean, that's absolutely incredible. You know, there was a time period that I used to do in cardio consistently between 580 and 650 in calories, and still was heavy, by the way, which shows you how bad I was eating. But I'm trying to imagine. Jimmy, when's the last time you've burnt 700 calories?
I usually work.
That's
it kind of just depends on the work, but that is, yeah, it's a lot of work. It kind of depends if you're doing a cardio day or a strength training day, but I try to do that at least a couple times a week.
Good for you. I'm up to a couple hundred again, multiple times a week, but not every day. I just not. You know what? It's a great goal to have. It's nuts. See, and he and I had an argument, a friendly argument, when we were good, before it blew up because of the Kentucky Vandy story, when I had guys with video and sound that they put the wrong guy at the free throw line a couple times, and our relationship was never tame. He screamed at me, I screamed at him back, and whatever. But when we were good, I teased him when he said he wasn't going to be an old coach. And I told him he'd be coaching at 70. And this was he started yelling at me, not in a bad yell, just the way Patino yells. He yells at everybody. It was all good. And it wouldn't surprise me if he's coaching at 80. It won't surprise me at all if he's healthy. I think he'll be different from Boeheim. I'm not saying Boeheim didn't work out, because that's not true, but Patino's love of the action and love of the game and love of putting the work in is just unique. It's different. There are not a lot of people who are like him. There just aren't. We're going to do a couple potpourri things as we go through this. Did you see this? And I bet you did. You're a baseball guy. So Corbin Carroll, one of the best young players in baseball, broke his hambate bone. And that's become a thing in the last couple of years. Francisco Lindor broke his hambate bone. And I have a theory that I can't prove. And you got to have surgery, and you could be gone 6 weeks and all that kind of stuff. Jimmy, here's my theory, and I'm not a doctor, don't play one on TV, and never had anybody tell me this. I have believed, and you've heard me talk about this, Jimmy, I have believed for a long time there's too much weightlifting going on. There really is. And when you put a strain on another part of your body that it's not used to, things break. And some of these guys lift so much weight. For example, I've used the Stanton for the Yankees, their great DH. He pulls his muscles all the time. Hey, Jimmy, have you ever seen a picture of him? I bet you have, without his shirt on, and what he looks like.
Yeah.
He looks like Zeus.
Yeah.
He's got no body fat. And he can't even run hard because the fear is he's going to rip a muscle. He's lifted so many weights. And these guys need to work out differently. I'm telling you, When I was a kid, I never heard of a ham bait bone. I never heard guys hurting it. Jimmy, you followed baseball for how many years now? You're a big Giants fan. 20 years?
Probably closely. Yeah, I'd say 20 years.
Okay. Do you remember when you first started following it? Somebody said ham bait bone.
No, it's definitely been within the last, like, I'd say 5-10 years or so. You hear about it more. Usually it's when a guy gets hit on the hand. It's usually that bone or like a weird check swing or something, because it's one of those tiny bones in your kind of like the backside of your palm. And it's just one that, for whatever reason in baseball, that's the one that always gets broken.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think it has something to do with them swinging really hard with more force because they're stronger than they were when Babe Ruth played? Who was strong, by the way, but, a lot of his training, as people know, was with beer and hot dogs. I wonder how many thousands of hot dogs he ate during games when he played in the major leagues.
Also, it is funny how, like, the lore of him makes it seem like he was, but then when you look up, I think he was like, what, 6'2", 220 pounds?
He's a big man.
Yeah, which back then was huge, but I always thought he had to have been 300 plus pounds. But in theory, and compared to everyone else, I guess he would have looked that way back then.
I don't think he was 220, though.
Yeah.
Not in the last 5 or 6 years.
Maybe that was listed.
Yeah, his belly was humongous, but he still could do it. People forget he's one of the greatest pitchers of all time. I just want to do this because I think some people have seen it, but it speaks volumes. And then we're going to take a break and go to Kenny Rice. Mike McDonald's coaching journey. Now, remember, I forgot what it was. He went to the school, a think tank school for finances. It's one of those schools where you go to and the people that he graduated with, apparently they're all doing unbelievable stuff because you got to be super smart to get in there. And then you're recruited while you're in the school to what? Be very successful. And a whole bunch of the people he went to class with, he met, took jerseys with, pictures with, and stuff like that. Jimmy, think about this. So he's an intern for the Ravens in 2014. How many people go from an intern to be a defensive assistant the next year? It's happened before, but it doesn't happen very often. They know you're super smart. They know your work ethic. But again, I've seen other guys do this, go from intern to defensive assistant, which you're really not coaching. You're in all the meetings and stuff like that, and you're quiet in the back and those kinds of things, and maybe you're making a few suggestions. But here's the crazy thing. He did it for 2 years. Then he's a DB coach for the Ravens. That's freaky. In 3 years at that tender age to go from intern to DB coach. That's nuts. Now, they need a linebacker coach. He's their linebacker coach from 18 to 20. Leaves pro football, goes to Michigan as the defensive coordinator. 1 year, comes back and is a defensive coordinator for the Ravens for 2 years, and then becomes the Seahawks head coach. I'm not saying it's the best resume I've ever seen, and I've looked at a whole bunch. It's got to be one of the best I've ever seen. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah, and just like you said, how quickly he moved up through the ranks, going from you were changing the ink in the copy in the printer machine, and then now you're the defensive coordinator in 3 years.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I tell you what's unbelievable. Cadillac, Quantrell Cadillac. Check them out. Ready to feel the surge? Because Cadillac just turned the dial all the way up. At Quantrell Cadillac, innovation meets raw performance. From head-turning electric models to bold, gas-powered luxury machines built to move fast. And we know that firsthand. They move fast. Right now, get 2.9. That's 2.9% APR for 60 months on many electric models and 3.4% APR for 36 months on many gas-powered models. Premium power with serious momentum behind it. Hit the throttle today at QuantrellCadillac.com. See dealer for details. Don't forget about the Volvos. We have the XC60. I tell you this every day. It's the best car we've had in 43 years. That's a pretty good span. And we have the hybrid saving us money. It is smooth. It's a beautiful car. We love it. We absolutely love it. And we've had a couple Cadillacs from them. And of course, hey, they've got great deals on Subarus. Check them out. Quantrell Cadillac. My friend Kenny Rice coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment. Hit the text line 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Hi, this is Patrick DiGiacomo, and this is why I would recommend Republic Bank. So, when the bank manager brought me over just to show me how their ITM works, he hit this button where an actual live person came on the screen, and she was so kind and helpful, and it just made me feel like, wow, I'm not dealing with just a machine, I'm dealing with somebody that's actually paying attention to what I'm doing, and it made me feel really good.
And that's how Republic Bank helps their customers go from living to thriving. Learn more at republicbank.com. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler, and I've spent years on these roads, and safety isn't a slogan to me, it's real life. That's one reason I trust Volvo. Quantrill Volvo has been part of this community for years. Brentley and Mark are friends of mine, and they run the dealership the right way with care, integrity, and real respect for the people they serve. If safety, smart design, and peace of mind matter to you, start your search at Quantrill Volvo. We have the XC60, the hybrid. We love it. Best car we've had in 43 years, and it is really smooth, and we're saving money on the gas. Right now, get financing as low as 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. Visit QuantrillVolvo.com. See dealer for details.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
You got to take the fear out of your shots and know that they might not go in, and live with that, and it's great when it does, and you plan on that. But I think that's how it's got to be.
That's how it got to be. We've been playing the soundbite all week. I love the soundbite. We might play it 2 weeks from now, but I want Kenny to comment on it. My dear friend Kenny Rice, formerly of WTVQ, right after they went from black and white TV to color. So that was a couple of years ago, to his amazing career with NBC Sports and all kinds of other stuff that he's done all across the world and stuff like that. Kind enough to join us. Kenny, how are you, dude?
Alan, my friend, I'm doing well. Thank you.
You have a dog on your sweatshirt. I'm going to regret this. What the hell is that?
I think I worn this before, and it's been pointed out that this is my favorite sweatshirt. I about worn it out. My sister brought it back to me when she was visiting Martha's Vineyard. There's a place called Black Dog kept there, and that's what it is. It's a black dog.
Oh,
and,
it was a job you did. Hey, you've called so many different things. Maybe you were calling dog races. Knowing you. Hey, let me tell you a really quick story about Kenny, because I love this about Kenny. So, they needed somebody to announce polo, which he's been doing forever. And we're talking. I said, Kenny, what do you know about polo? He goes, not a damn thing. I said, what'd you do? He said, I went to YouTube, kind of learned it. They gave me a really good analyst, so I faked it till I learned it. And that sounds like how we roll. It was really smart. To me, of everything you've done, even doing the Derby for, decades plus, to me, that's the most important thing. Can you do it? Yeah, of course I could do it. Now you go, well, what the hell do I do?
Employed. I tell these young guys, they say, I said, well, you work 27 years in network if you're versatile. Now, there's a few exceptions, but very few exceptions. Almost everyone is not exclusive to one sport, unless you're an analyst, like Collinsworth with football or something. But, the more you can cover, the more work you get. The one thing I did once, they never asked me back again, which I understand. The guy got sick. I forgot who was doing it, but I went in on 2 days' notice and called rugby at Soldier Field when the U.S. played Australia. I think it was around 2016. And they called me up and they said, I said, I don't understand all this rugby stuff. I appreciate it. You got to be tough. So they said, we're going to send you a disc, overnight it. So I got it. I looked at it. It was 7-on-7. Well, I get up to Soldier Field. It's 15-on-15. It's full-blown rugby. And actually, that was the first full-blown rugby match I ever saw, and I'm calling it. And that was a little different. But, that was a one done. I was just filling in. I knew I was just filling in. But I tried really hard. I crammed as best I could, and I got through it, and nobody made fun of me, so I guess I did okay.
Now, the person who sent it to you really screwed up. Why the hell would they send you 7-on-7 instead?
It was one of my favorite producers. We did boxing together, and we were actually doing a boxing show together at that time. And I got up there, I said, David, why didn't you tell me it was full blown? I mean, I'm doing the best I can here, but I learned the rules enough. And again, anytime, you know what, you always want a good analyst, don't you? You know that when you do play by play. I mean, the analyst is the key. You want to be able to be smart enough to set him or her up. And, that's what you want to be able to do.
I'm glad.
Like always setting up Chandler for the biggest three-pointer probably of the season.
Bingo. And now you made a better transition than me, but I want to throw this in to our friend Tom Hammond. Tom was always extra special at getting out of the way and making sure that the analysts would breathe. And I thought he was one of the best ever on network TV. And most people did not. You understand it. I understand. I'm the audience. I'm not talking down to them. They don't think about it. But he was great at it, and you got it too, which helped you out tremendously.
Yeah, I mean, they're the key. They've done it. And I don't know how much you know about it. Even like basketball, I think I know pretty good about basketball and football. But you got to, I didn't play at the level that these guys I'm working with played at. I didn't play in college or in pros, certainly. So people that made it to that level, you got to, because they make little points. And I say little points that you go, I'll be sitting there and go, hey, I didn't realize that. I've watched this game all day. And you made a good point there. So I've been fortunate to work with some pretty good people, And Paul McGuire was my favorite when I called the United Football League for Mark Cuban's outfit like 12 years ago or something. And McGuire was just great at football. He was tremendous.
I loved him on TV. Absolutely. And matter of fact, of everything you've done, I wish I could have had beers with you and McGuire. And by the way, you're not going to believe this. Me not talking and listening to his stories. I can't keep my mouth shut, by the way. I know my wife doesn't believe it either.
Paul was amazing. Speaking of beers, and I don't drink, so he loved me because, he said I was a cheap date, and I could drive. But he would drink 2 Budweisers at a time. And
hold on.
Paul McGuire. He would order 2 Budweisers at a time.
He would order 2 beers?
Yeah, he ordered 2 at a time. And it'd be like that. And I mean, it's fascinating. So we're calling a United Football League game in Omaha, Nebraska. And this was the first year Omaha had a team in it. And they actually had like 24,000 showed up. It was like the best. It was the best audience in the UFL because these other places, we were in Orlando and California, but you know how it is. You're going into a place where they didn't have it. So the point is, we're at the Embassy Suites at the bar before the game, a couple days before the game, and Paul gets a beer and gets his 2 at a time, and he looks and he goes, "Hey, the born-on date has expired here. So this beer is 2 weeks old. Bring me a fresh beer." And the bartender laughs and goes, "Oh, come on. He goes, "No, seriously, son. Look, the guy was a younger guy." And he goes, and I said, "Look, this guy knows his beer. You might want to bring him a beer, another beer." So he come back and said, "We don't have one." So Paul pulls out his phone. I kid you not out. He pulls out his phone, and on his speed dial is Augie Busch. Yes, a Busch Budweiser.
No.
He calls and he says, "I'm at the Embassy Suites in Omaha, Nebraska, and they're serving old beer." And we didn't stay there the next time we came back. We moved down toward the Hilton, which is right across from where the baseball is. But I was fortunate, I've worked with pretty good people. I was fortunate later on in life to work with Marv Albert on a boxing show. And I first meet Marv and he says, "We got something in common." Well, I thought he was talking about his son, Kenny, same name. And I said, "Yeah, Kenny, I look forward to meeting him." He goes, No, we both worked with the legendary McGuire." And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Paul sent me for my birthday one year a Budweiser." Well, I'm giving them a lot of publicity. I don't know if they're going to start sponsoring your show. They should. I said a Budweiser refrigerator, and it was custom fit. So like you could put the bottles in here and the cans in here, and it had Paul McGuire's autograph on it. Yeah, McGuire's something else. I talk to him 2 or 3 times a year. He's a precious man.
Okay, that's a great story. Let's go back to you made the segue when I was supposed to, so you were ahead of me, which doesn't surprise me, about the segue with Chandler and the shot and the pass. I love this soundbite. Kenny, we've both done this for a million years, and we both understand there's a lot of people in the NBA who make tens of millions of dollars, and they don't want to take a shot at the end of the game. They're not going to broadcast it, but they don't. Now you have a young man who says you have to be comfortable in your own skin to understand you might miss the shot, which helps you make a shot. It is brilliant. It's not good. It is absolutely brilliant. There aren't a lot of kids his age who get this the way he does.
No, and you mentioned there's guys in the pros that still bypass it. LeBron James has probably passed up more shots that could have won the game than any of the superstar players in league history.
Always say he's just sharing the rock.
Yeah, but Chandler, you appreciate the guts of the kid, and Oweh, the court vision he has, and I tell you, and this is it's true, and you know that. You've got to have guys that fit roles like that, and there's not a coincidence here that Kentucky's playing better since Quintons and Lowe are not playing. They just, for some reason, they didn't mesh. They're good players. Maybe some other place they would mesh better. But you look at Chandler's games up. Oweh, look how well Oweh's been playing the last few weeks. Noah coming in off the bench more has had moments. Guys are getting in more that are just having. Well, they're having opportunities that they weren't getting, and they're flowing together very well. And I think two of the guys that really stand out are the two guys, again, that set up that play. Always just been spectacular, playing like he was supposed to play at the start of the year. And Chandler has really upped his game and is the guy certainly they're going to look for if it comes down to more last-second shots.
I'm going to guess you've seen this a number of times. And when I did it, it was just on me, and I want to even be comfortable with you with this, Kenny. By the way, you don't have to be religious and have the guts of you-know-what and be fearless and take shots and all that kind of stuff. So what about say there's more than one way to skin a cat, as we all know. I'd love to talk to Chandler about this. As you know, Kenny, he's a very religious young man. Mm-hmm. I actually believe his comfort in his own skin and his beliefs, which are so important to him. Basketball is really important, but it's not his religion. That it's so important to him, even though he says he takes his game home and his wife helps him out to calm him down and stuff like that. So I don't want anybody to get the impression that he's not intense. No, he's actually really intense. I actually believe him being very religious in his own soul helps him deal with missing shots. I have believed this kind of thing for a long time. I've heard people talk about it. So it's not like I'm starting something new. And again, you could believe in nothing and be great at hitting a late shot. There's lots of different ways to do it. But I believe his religious beliefs help him, and I'd love to talk to him about it. How crazy, Kenny Rice, NBC Sports, do you think that is?
No, I think all good athletes have to be centered in some way. And if that's how centers him, and maybe it does, I don't know. I really haven't been around him. I haven't heard enough interviews to tell. But if that's what centers him, I think that's a wonderful thing. And I think if you notice how many guys in the last few years, it's becoming more popular now for these people to thank God and praise Jesus after they win big games. Well, look at Mendoza for Indiana. I think every game he acknowledged his religious beliefs. And he's not the only one. Kenneth Walker III made mention after he won the MVP award in the Super Bowl the other day. So, I mean, it's not uncommon now. And I think maybe there's a movement among younger people, especially, that want to be more in tune with something other than what's going on in the secular world. That's just my guess. I haven't really researched it enough, but I have noticed that more. So that's the unscientific approach that I'm taking here. And by the way, so I do agree with you what you're saying there. I think he's grounded in some way, and it could just be his religious belief. And I talked to my friend Kenny McPeak, who you know well, who should be in the Hall of Fame, and I think will be this year.
I hope so.
He already named the one horse Malachi Miracle on the shot that Moreno hit at LSU. So we talked. And
Stop a second. You know why he named the horse that way, I'm sure, right? His mother-in-law?
Well, yeah, Kenny, he's, and so now we were talking, and he's trying to come up with a name for Chandler. He's wants to name a horse after Chandler, like Clutch Chandler or something. We talked actually a couple of days ago because Malachi is going to try to catch up with Kenny when he comes up to Kentucky and brings the horse up from Florida to Kentucky.
That'd be great.
So that'll probably be in April. So that'll be, I'm sure, bring some cameras out to take some shots of that. And then maybe by that time he'll have a name for Colin somehow. Chandler, Colin, some Clutch thing. I don't know.
He'll come up. He's good with that. As you know, it's very tough to get names of horses because everybody's taking them. But Kenny was on talking about it. I had him come on just to talk about the Malachi Miracle, and he said his mother-in-law started screaming, "It's a miracle!" So come on, we've both known Kenny for 1,000 years. That's so Kenny.
Yeah. And, he's such a big fan. And I think UK should honor him all the time. They should have him once a year come out and do a Y. He like is probably the biggest fan that I know who is in another line of work where he's doing really, really well, and doesn't always have the time. But, I'll see him. He always talks about UK every time I run into him, seems like.
You know what? Hang on. That was a genius thought there, Kenny Rice.
I have them every now and then.
Yeah, no, seriously, that's kind of an epiphany. Now I'm saying to myself, why the hell didn't I think of it? So, okay, so when I retired, some people were coming up to me saying, "Hey, you're going to do the Y in the last game."
Yeah.
And somebody went to UK. I didn't ask them to do it, and they said, "Well, no, Cutler didn't play for UK, so he can't." And so I said to that person, and it was smart when they let Oscar Combs do the Y. He should have done the Y. I think Brownlee did it too. So somebody didn't want me to do it, which is fine. But my thought then was that, you know what? You have all these people. I mean, Ashley Judd should have done a Y. Kenny McPeak should do a Y. They should have. And by the way, they probably get more donations that way too. But that's not why you should do it. But that's probably why they should do it.
Can he do it last year? He became the first guy in over 50 years to win the Derby and Oaks in the same year. It's been like 1953 or something prior to him doing it.
Was it Ben Jones?
And I think so. And I thought Kenny was doing it, so he may have. But yeah, they should have it. You should have been able to do the Y, man. It can't just be about you. It's people in the air, like Oscar. That was fine. He should do it.
So should you.
UK asked me to do the FU. That's what UK's asked me to do. So it's okay. It's okay.
By the way, do you know what I did?
What?
I'm going blank on his name. Really good dude, a photographer. Oh, I'm sorry if he's listening to the show, and I know he listens sometimes, so I'm embarrassed. I can picture his face. So since I didn't get the Y on my last night covering my last game at Kentucky, we were there, sending stuff back and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And by the time we were done, because we did the stuff for the next day too. By the time we were done, there was nobody in there except a couple people cleaning up. And I went to this. I'm embarrassed. This is somebody I've talked to for decades. This is
Bill Stroud.
No. It wasn't Bill, but Bill would be a good guess. And I said, "Hey, would you take a picture?" So I went to center court with nobody there. And I did the Y. It's one of my favorite pictures. Not in slight of to UK, and I, you should do it, and I should have done it. It's not that big of a deal. It's just like, I thought it was small-minded by Kentucky, to be honest. Kenny McPeak should absolutely do it. But there's so many great Kentuckians who love UK basketball that it wouldn't be difficult. J.D. Shelburne, how he has not sung the national anthem as a country, and he's dying to, and they won't ask him. He's gone to Louisville and done it.
I know. Has his outfit called Sunday Best. Some of your friends may know. Nick Jamerson. I know the whole family. His grandfather Shorty was the one caught 2 touchdown passes from Babe Parilli in the Sugar Bowl in '51 when they beat Oklahoma, and some consider that the national championship. They read back. I don't think they've asked them to come and sing. I don't know, but there's a suggestion. Sunday Best. Stapleton. I don't know. He's so big. I don't know if he could fit it in, but.
You know what? If Stapleton could fit it in, I bet he would do it without saying I need money.
He's a UK fan. I don't, we assume everybody from Kentucky is a UK fan, but he may be indifferent to it, or he's been in Nashville a long time. He may be a Vanderbilt fan now. That's a hot athletic program.
How many people from that part of Kentucky have you ever met that weren't Kentucky fans?
Probably no one. I can't think of anybody. When I came up here, I understand. I run into a few Louisville fans and actually a couple of Western fans. But it always goes back to the late Steve Hamilton, who I think was just a terrific guy, athletic director at Morehead State. And I remember when Morehead came up to play UCAM basketball, and I called him up because Steve and I went back a long way. And I said, "Steve, this got to be a great deal coming up here and playing UK." He laughed, said, "Yeah, he said, "Yeah, I've got mixed emotions." I said, "Why? They're not paying you enough?" He said, "No, it's okay, that contract." He said, "But I forgot, let's say 500 tickets just to round it off. I may be wrong on the exact amount." He said, "Of the 500 tickets we got, 480 people are coming to cheer for Kentucky and to see Kentucky play. And there's like 20 guys that really care about Morehead basketball." And, sadly, over the years, that's true. And I'd say it'd be the same for Eastern and maybe a little bit more to Western, although I think Western maybe has a more loyal base probably than any of the regional universities.
I love Steve Hamilton as a kid when he pitched for the Yankees. What was that called? You know,
That Ephus pitch.
Ephus. Was it Ephus?
Yeah, he threw it. Remember, he threw it. You know, like a softball. It went up and came down. Yeah.
And people would swing and miss because they were salivating to hit it out. And I saw him throw that pitch a lot.
Yeah, it was like right there. It's coming to you, you know, and then drops.
And they couldn't hit it. He was a great, great, great rebounder and a hell of a basketball player. If this were today, he would have, if not played in the NBA, he never got a chance.
He did. He played for the Minneapolis Lakers.
Yeah, but you're right, but it was a cup of coffee kind of deal. I mean,
I don't know. I think he might have stayed a year or two.
Well, to me, that's a cup of coffee.
What's a big cup of coffee?
Okay.
He played a year or two a pro anything.
I thought if this were today, he would have made a lot of money in Europe.
Yeah, you know, he would have. The NIL deal he might have gotten.
Oh, he could have done commercials from tobacco to whatever. I'm going to Chat GPT to see.
I've not used that yet. Of course, I've not done the cartoon that everybody seems to be doing and all these other things that the young kids seem to enjoy. Jimmy probably gets a kick out of it. He's probably doing it all the time. He's a young, hip guy. He's probably doing it right now, doing a cartoon of you and me right here. Now what they do, they put stuff in.
I heard he does one for me, but it's a dartboard. Over 2 NBA seasons, Steve Hamilton averaged 4.5 points, 3.4 rebounds, and a half assist a game. And he appeared in the NBA Finals with the Lakers against the Celtics in 1959. And you want to know something? I actually watched a couple of those games, but I don't remember him. And it was also 1959. Neither here nor there.
My dad held up to the TV set. I can't remember it that far back.
All right, Kentucky. So, and this is not hyper Kentucky. This is true of a lot of teams. They're number 25 in the country. And then really that's where they should be because of all their bad losses. I find it interesting that they're both Pope's teams are 17-7 after 24 games. But, and this happens all the time. You've seen this many times, Kenny, where a team getting better later, like a lot of teams do, they're better than number 25 in the country, but they don't deserve to be higher. They just don't. And if they keep on winning, they'll move up. You know, they're going to have more teams with 7 losses for them to jump over if they keep on winning and all that kind of stuff. But I'm looking at them, and to me, in my mind, there's about 3 tiers of teams that forget about Cinderella. It'll be something we don't know that'll jump in and all that kind of. There's like 3 tiers, and to me, they're not in the first tier.
No, they're not.
The second tier, but they're in, to me, like the third tier with a number of other really good teams, maybe the top 15, 16 teams, because I think they're playing like a top 15, 16 team, even though they don't deserve to be that high. And they moved up to that point where I think they have a shot to do some damage if they keep on getting better.
They're 16. I think they're a final 16, the Sweet 16. I think they can go that far. I don't think they'll go any farther than that. But I think they have that. They've mashed well together. I think that Pope has taken the reins a little better as a coach, and I'm talking about just the way he's approached it, not just the X's and O's. You know, right at the start there, a little shaken. They were having all these problems in the locker room that I don't know if anybody ever found out what they were or not. You know, we kind of cryptic said, but by the Louisville game, you know, I've never seen this in the locker room and things. And you know, tell us. Go ahead and tell us. You know, go ahead and tell us. I've heard things. But, you know, I hear stuff. But, you know, I think he's done a nice job. And I'm telling you, I know. I'm telling you what he's doing is when he got it. Look, is it a coincidence that 2 guys are not playing any longer and everybody else is playing better? No, it didn't happen. And that goes with any team. That doesn't mean they are not good players. But as we've seen, even on Calipari's team that won the championship, ironically, he won it with great role players around one of the best players ever at UK in Anthony Davis. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, a really terrific player as well. But then you look at Darius Miller, who came back and played a little NBA, had a nice little career. Lamb was on that team. I mean, look at the guys that were good role players, and they fit in there. And that's what you have to have. Very few teams can win it with all stars. Even the 96 team, which is the best Kentucky team I personally have seen. Although 78 was awful good too. You know, Macy and Roby and Gibbons and, you know, Lee, that's Phillips. That's an awfully tough team. But they all had guys that came in and filled roles. And even the 78 team did, you know, Jay Scheidler, Truman Clayton, and then, you know, and then the 96 team, you know, even Pope was a role player. He did what he was supposed to do, Ron Mercer was a freshman on that team, did what he was supposed to do. And then they had Wayne Turner was a terrific point guard. I don't think he played any in the NBA. I think he played with the Harlem Globetrotters, but he had his moments, and he set up great players like Walker and McCarty and Delk. And, that's what you have to have. And that 98 team was pretty much all role players. I mean, Nazir Muhammad was kind of coming into his own. Scott Padgett come out of nowhere, really, and had a great season. Jeff Shepard, Allen Edwards, Mills comes off the bench. So the whole point of this is, you got to have those players. You got to have a Noah that comes in and gives you some quality minutes here and there. You got to have your big men. They got a rotation going now where you got 2 or 3 big men that are coming in, and they all seem to contribute at the moment that they're in there. And that wasn't happening, a month ago or something like that. And Oweh was just kind of looked disgusted. Now he looks like the All-American that he was predicted to be.
I want to be there, Kenny. I happen to agree with you that the 96 team, when I started being a sportscaster, although I wasn't here in 78, but I watched them and I know the fellas and the fellas and all that kind of stuff. I want to be sitting next to you, but behind you when you look James Lee, and I would do the same thing you're doing. Come on, the 86 points they scored in a half, which I had forgotten about. I want to see behind you. I don't want to be equal with you, and I don't want to be in front of you. When you tell James Lee that you believe that 96 is number one, and let's say 78 is 1A during this last 50 years. But I want to be behind you, and I want to make sure I know where the door is.
Well, sadly, I know those guys. I went to school. I've known Kyle and James and Rick and the late Mike Phillips. What a nice guy. I mean, I've known these guys for years. I think Lee Givens and I did a banquet together. I'm trying to think what it was, some high school banquet that I kind of emceed and they spoke at in like 1980 or something. I can't remember exactly. Like you've done so many. After a while, you forget. I could get it wrong, but I've known those guys for a long time. And they would all be mad at me and his sister. And honestly, it would be 1 and 1A. I mean, it's a coin flip. I think the most interesting was that 98 team.
Your head's in a little bit, Kenny. I feel little heads here.
Well, I look at it this way. If you look at, you got Roby went to the pros. Macy went to the pros, had a nice solid career. Givens went to the pros. They had 3 outstanding players. But look at the guys they had come in and help out. But I'd have to give it to 96 still. I mean, as far as pure talent, I stay with 96 as the best team. And
I shamed you into it. No,
once you look at everybody on it, what they have like 6 guys that played in the NBA?
More.
7 guys? I don't know. Well, you know what? Yeah, because I forget like Shepard's on the bench on that team.
Right.
They got Shepard coming in off the bench on that team.
I'll have to look at it. I honestly think it's more. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Well, let's see. Very quickly. Delk played. Mercer played. McCarty played. Let's see. Who am I forgetting? Antoine Walker, of course, played. Mark Pope played. There's 5 top of my head.
Padgett? Padgett?
Padgett played. Yeah, see, I forgot Padgett was a sub on the 96 team. Look at the 96 team. Look who's on the bench. They got like Epps and Edwards and Padgett, I guess, and Shepard. That's a pretty good bench. Cameron Mills, that's a pretty good bench in 96. But right now, and his story, I want to tell you about the boxer known as Bobby Mashburn, the heavyweight best known for being the sparring partner of one Ken Norton. He also sparred with one Muhammad Ali, although it was brief. I think it was only 1 session, and it's probably his biggest claim to fame. He got lost a TKO to Larry Holmes.
I forgot about the TKO to Larry Holmes.
These things. I mentioned it to Mashburn once upon a time, many, many, many years ago. Well, good grace, 30-some years ago. He didn't talk much about his dad, but I got that from him. He was a New York, because I like boxing, as you know, and that's all I got. So that's all I got. So I can tell you that. Who'd I forget on the 96 team that went pro?
Okay, Delk, Walker, I'm obviously looking at a list. McCarty, Anderson, Mercer, Pope, Shepard, really, he got cut too early. I'm not being disrespectful.
Oh, he got cut pretty early, and I think Wayne Turner got cut pretty early.
He did. Nazi is 7.
Nazi, good gracious, he was like the Methuselah. Nazir Muhammad, didn't he get like 17 years in or some crazy thing?
By the way, it's only 7, so I'm wrong.
I forgot about Anderson. Forgive me, Derek. Of course, Derek Anderson's on that team.
That's 8. He's not. Yes. Well, no, it was Delk, Walker, McCarty, Anderson, Mercer. It ended up being 7.
Yeah.
I just think that team was special.
Yeah.
Mr. Kenny Rice, God bless you, brother. Stay warm, and if you're around town, if you got some time, maybe join us next week or the week after. That'd be a beautiful thing. I know you want to say hi to Judy more than me, right? I'm going to set that up.
I was not going to forget it. I forgot it one time, and I had the bad dream that somebody reached out to me, and I feel the tap like that. It hurt. Judy, love you. Look forward to seeing you again, and thank you for taking care of my friend Alan.
Thank you.
People don't know. People don't know this woman. She's like the Mother Teresa of wives. And you're not even a Catholic, and she's like Mother Teresa.
I'd like to say you're the first person to say that, but
not pretty much everybody that knows. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, a couple weeks from now, let's grab a bite again.
Anytime, my friend. Thank you very much, Alan.
Hey, Kenny. Love you, dude. Love talking to you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
If Judy's listening, she's laughing.
I know.
And you know what she's doing? You know what she's doing? She's nodding her head yes.
Of course. Here, Judy, I blew you a kiss. That's for you, not Alan.
I'm happy you blew it for Judy, and I'm even happier you didn't blow it for me. So it's all good.
It's all good.
Kenny, bless you, dude. Oh,
thanks, pal.
What a joy half hour. You're even smiling, Jimmy, right?
There's never a dull moment with Kenny.
No, never don't. Kenny's great. And he's got just a lovely sense of humor. He always has a little that's always been really, really good. And I'll tell you what else is really, really good. Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914, 859-533-0914. Acupuncture, now also providing a licensed massage therapist. Acupuncture, Blue Lotus Health, on Versailles Road, close to the radio station. Ramon Carriega is a special man, and he's brilliant. He really is, and how he's helped me is off the charts. Please consider using him. Please use my name when you call up. Acupuncture, I hope he's doing the needles with me for the next 20 years. I hope I'm around for 20 years from now. He can help me be around. And by the way, I believe that. He can help me be around 20 years from now. I believe that from the bottom of my heart. 859-533-0914. 859-533-0914. Alan Cutler, Brandon Ramsey coming up next. Thank you, Kenny Rice. Gene Abel in about 15 minutes. And Mr. Roush, Nick's Roush with football. After that, Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank, time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler, and I've spent years on these roads, and safety isn't a slogan to me, it's real life. That's one reason I trust Volvo. Quantrell Volvo has been part of this community for years. Brentley and Mark are friends of mine, and they run the dealership the right way with care, integrity, and real respect for the people they serve. If safety, smart design, and peace of mind matter to you, start your search at Quantrell Volvo. We have the XC60, the hybrid. We love it. Best car we've had in 43 years, and it is really smooth. And we're saving money on the gas. Right now, get financing as low as 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. Visit QuantrellVolvo.com. See dealer for details.
Cats fans, District 7 Social Hall has everything you need for a great night out. A self-pour beer wall, next-level golf simulator, and wall-to-wall televisions all under one roof. Located in the heart of the Distillery District, book your next corporate event or private party by emailing info@district7social.com today.
W223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1392.5. WLXG Lexington, an LM Communications broadcasting station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. Always a joy talking to Kenny Rice. Always a joy talking to the bearded wonder, the coach, Brandon Ramsey of KSR, and also taking care of coaches with recruiting and analyzing players. Hello, Ramsey. How are you, dude?
Doing well, Alan. Thanks for having me on again.
Oh, honored to have you. That beard's getting in that. It's getting serious now.
We're getting there. It's pretty long.
You ain't messing around. You're not quite down to the UK logo in your sweatshirt.
Right.
But maybe by the time they get to the Final Four. By the way, seriously now, I don't think they've peaked. And then they're going to lose a game here and there. I mean, come on, people, let's not get silly. And they could easily lose Saturday. Who are we kidding? That should be a hell of a matchup. But, as they continue to get better, and I don't think they're done because I think their confidence could still improve as long as they buy in all for one for all, which they have been doing a much better job than they were 3-4 weeks ago. How much better can they get?
Yeah, I think as you continue to just get some more of this lineup cohesion, you're starting to see guys really blossom in their individual roles because they've had those roles now for a couple weeks in a row for the first time this season. You're going to see them continue to get more and more comfortable. And I don't know if they can get a whole lot better than they are because the talent is the talent. But I think that you'll see them have games where they shoot the ball really well still. We have to certainly improve the free throw shooting, but I think the three can still get more consistent and better at times. You're seeing this team rebound at a pretty high level on the offensive end. Need to get better on the defensive glass still a little bit. I think some of those things can continue to improve, and you can see this team still take it to another level. But I don't know if the talent is there to necessarily take a huge leap. But we've seen this team get kind of progressively better during this stretch. So is there still another level in there? It's very possible.
Who knows with the matchups and stuff like that. And you can get a bad matchup for you and you get a great matchup. And some people say you're lucky. I don't give a crap. If you win, you win. You lose, you lose. But I mean, at 17-7, I find it ironic. It's the same record as last year at this time. I don't think it's an obnoxious stretch to say there is a pot. Sure, you could always lose the first game in the NCAA tournament. But I don't think it's an obnoxious stretch to say this could be a Sweet 16 team again.
No, absolutely not. I think that, especially with the resume that Kentucky is probably still somewhat quietly building. I mean, you have a team now that has 5 quad one wins. You're going to play 4 more, I think, still, at least in the regular season. You have a couple games that are very close to becoming quad one wins, like the IU win is right there on the cusp. Georgia could become a quad one game for Kentucky. The Texas win could still become a quad one. Like you're talking about a team that could end up with 8, 9 quad one wins on Selection Sunday. If that's the case, you're talking about a team that's going to be a 5 seed, something like that. And then at that point, you're almost expected to get to a Sweet 16 at that point. So I think it's very possible that this team is going to be in a position to still make the second weekend, and they're playing like a team I think that is second weekend worthy, quite frankly.
You got your ear to the ground with high school coaches and watching talent all across. Does Kentucky, you told me, I saw a couple weeks ago, one of the recruiting services, I'm sorry, I don't remember, said that 40 of the top 50 of the best high school players were already spoken for. That's a weird way to put spoken for. It's not in marriage, but spoken for. You get a feel as to anything about recruiting since it's kind of quiet. And let's see, let me look at the list of all the players they've signed last year. I see a blank for next year. See a blank page. If you're a Kentucky fan, plus you being an insider, it's what you do. The good, bad, or different, whatever it is this setting up to be a disastrous year? Or you can get a whole lot of guys quickly in today's world. You can, I would imagine they're like everybody else. They've been charting and scouting and looking at tape and all that kind of stuff. And I bet they got master list. I bet some agents have already told them guys that want to move. Yeah, I bet there's a ton going on behind the scenes at Kentucky in a lot of places. So they're not going to get caught with down. Everybody, I think, is doing this thing. Do you get a feel that this could still be a really good recruiting year, even though right now they're shooting blanks?
It can be a really good recruiting year in the big picture. Is it going to be a really good recruiting year by Kentucky standards in terms of the high school class? That's probably unlikely at this point, because I think that in terms of still the big prize of Tyron Stokes being out there, and quite frankly, if you land Tyron Stokes, it probably is a good class just by himself. But if you don't get that, there's not a whole lot left that I think is likely for Kentucky to get. Now, the reason why I phrased it the way that I did to begin was because the 2026 class is nothing like the 2025 class. The 2025 class, there were 15, 20 guys that were going to come into college basketball and make, massive All-American level impacts from day one. We've seen it all season. That's not the case with the 2026 class. So while it will be very different for Kentucky if they legitimately don't sign a high school recruit, or certainly a high school recruit of, 5-star status, which I think is very possible at this point that they don't, that'll be different. That'll be frustrating for some people. It might even be concerning for some people. And I'm not even saying that it shouldn't be, but I do think that this recruiting class, like all recruiting classes, is different. I think that you can build a really good class this year with some portal guys, et cetera. And especially when Kentucky's at least in a position to potentially have a decent amount of retention. I think there's some guys here on this team that you want to have back, that you can get back. So if you have 5, 6 guys returning, you go get 3, 4 guys in the portal, you don't really need a super big high school class. So I think Kentucky's going to continue to swing for the fences with Tyron Stokes and some other guys. If they miss, then recruiting is fluid. They'll probably turn their sights to somebody, and they might still sign a couple, 4-star guys or whatever, some names that we're not even aware of necessarily right now will probably come onto the board. But no, frankly, to answer your question, as we stand here right now, I don't necessarily think that Kentucky is going to sign a super meaningful high school piece in this class.
Well, and you can still have a great class. So we all know. I get a feel. I don't know. This is all guessing at this point, unless you got some inside information. I will be a little surprised and pleasantly surprised for Pope if 5 or 6 guys end up coming back. That's just it's a guess. It's just a guess, and I hope I'm wrong, because I think there will be maybe 1 or 2 players who like playing at Kentucky but want to play at Kentucky. There were many shocked, and I was not. Pope was shocked when Travis Perry went to Ole Miss. I don't think. Let's put it this way: I think you have to be naive to think that some of the guys just from Kentucky are going to come back. I think it's naivete. That doesn't mean they won't. Nor am I trying to start anything. But kids want to play. They want to play. So if there's 5 or 6, and you get 5 guys that are really good in the portal, you can sprinkle in the rest. There's no question about that. So in other words, I'm not saying they're in trouble, and I'm not saying you have to have high school kids. And you know better than me, but I've been told the same thing, that this class is nothing compared to the last class. And the last class was an aberration. And maybe some of the players that they're not getting, he thinks he can get better players in the portal. I don't know. But not to be concerned about not having anybody committed at let's put it this way. You've been doing this a long time. I don't ever remember any Kentucky team in February. Now, the Cal thing with Gillespie, that doesn't count because of changing the coach and stuff like that. And then he did what I thought was the greatest recruiting class of all time on a dime. I've said this forever. I don't remember under what I would call kind of normal circumstances, Kentucky not having a player for next year.
Yeah, it is very unique, and it's going to lead to a lot of questions, quite frankly, for Coach Pope and the staff. And it's going to be one of those things where, because we're used to bringing in 5-star guys, and we're used to having committed high school players that we can get excited about and start watching towards the end of their senior years and stuff, it's going to be something where Coach Pope's going to have to answer for it if it doesn't work out very well. Like, He better hit a home run in the transfer portal. He better hit a home run when it comes to retaining some of these guys, because if you pair any sort of problems in those areas with not signing a high school class, then then it does start become problematic in terms of your recruiting and things like that. But yeah, like I said, and like you reiterated, with what this 2026 class is, sure, it would be awesome to land a Tyron Stokes. It would have been awesome to get a Jordan Smith or Christian Collins or some of these guys. But if you don't, you can still be okay. Kind of somewhat unlike, quite frankly, the way that, like, if you didn't get some of those top guys in this last class, it's really hard to compete at the top of the country because they're such good players. This year, I think retention and portal are as important as anything else when it comes to recruiting.
Got about 30 seconds. Give me an analysis in 30 seconds of what you feel at Kentucky, Florida Saturday.
Florida's huge. They are one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country, probably the best front court in the country. But quite frankly, Kentucky has a better backcourt than Florida has right now. Like, that's just point blank. Florida really struggles to shoot the three. This is a game where if Kentucky can come out and make some threes, if they don't get crushed around the basket, they're going to have a chance to win. But man, that front court of Florida is going to be something that we haven't seen at Kentucky yet this season. They are formidable, to say the least. It's a really, really tough matchup. Florida possibly could be the best team we've played all season. They're playing that well.
You have a great plug for yourself. Everything you do, always appreciate your time and your knowledge.
Absolutely. Thanks, Alan. You can follow me on Twitter at BRamseyKSR. All the written work goes on KentuckySportsRadio.com, part of the On3 Sports Network. Also, go subscribe to the Kentucky Sports Radio YouTube channel. Me and Zach Gagan just had a new episode of our Zoom Action show out yesterday. Also, subscribe to the Brandon Ramsey College Basketball Show YouTube channel. And again, all that work goes on Twitter at BRamseyKSR.
Glad you have so much free time.
Exactly. I love it.
But you love it. People that do what they love to do are blessed. And you have been blessed, young man. You have been blessed.
Absolutely.
And smart by doing what you love.
Yep.
Thanks, dude.
That's awesome. Yep. Anytime.
Brandon,
thanks, Alan.
Hey, that was great analysis, Jimmy, of the Florida game. That really was. As a matter of fact, I'll send you the time code of that. I want to play that on Friday again. That would be very apropos. Brandon Ramsey doing that. We're now sliding over to Mr. Gene Abel, outstanding retired long-time sports editor, Lexington Herald leader. Gino, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Alan?
Better. Getting better. So
that's good to hear. Always good to hear that.
Absolutely. I'm doing have you ever done a fast?
I did the 5-2. I've done the 5-2 for a while.
What's the 5-2?
Basically, you do under 600 calories 2 days a week, and then the other 5, you just try to be smart.
Oh, that's interesting. Did you lose weight?
Yeah, it works. Yeah, and fasting does make you feel better. I don't question that at all.
I'm in day 2. I'm going to do. The goal is 72 hours. Last time I did it 3 weeks ago, I did 71. At 71 hours, I'm going, whatever I got for my body, that's good. I'm hungry. I'm going to go eat. So I did 71. And I'm in day 2, and I feel really good. They say day 2, you feel better than day 1. This time it seems to be easier. But I'm going to do this not every week. Let's not get silly. But I'm going to probably do this once a month from now on.
Good. Good luck with it.
Thank you. Is it possible? I could be wrong. Wouldn't suggest you're wrong. When you put out $22.6 million, even though I know, and that was my theory early on, it was pretty obvious that Pope thought Owe was a superstar. I will always say, with all the great freshmen coming in, he got turned down by a ton of people. He did. It's just either that he's not doing his job talking to these kids, which is not true because Guy works hard. His staff works hard. I'm not going to be disingenuous. But is it possible some of the criticism, and I'm in that boat. I criticized myself yesterday. If this team gets to at least the Sweet 16, which is possible, it's possible that some of the criticism of the 22.6 or whatever it was that Ben Roberts came up, and I talked to Ben a little bit, and I trust him as a reporter, and he spent a lot of time putting it together. It's not like this was 2-3 phone calls over 2 days and getting it done. Is it possible if they get to the Sweet 16 that most, but not all, because they didn't get a heavy hitter, I mean, a real big heavy hitter. Is it possible that some of the criticism, the 22 million plus, was maybe wrong as things changed?
That's a loaded question. I don't think the criticism of the 22.6 is necessarily wrong, because I think there is legitimate questions about the roster construction. I think they thought the superstar was JQ, but I don't think you could build a class around a guy who had serious surgery less than a year ago. I think that was a mistake, and I think they made a mistake on the point guard situation. I do think the roster construction is my biggest question about Pope right now, and I think that is a very legitimate question, whether it be high school, portal, or whatever. I think those are legitimate questions on putting the team together. Having said that, I'm taking off the shelf the question about whether or not the guy can coach. He's done the coaching part of it has been super impressive the last 6 weeks in terms of several of the adjustments he's made. He went from a coach. I mean, he loves to shoot threes. That's what he's always wanted to do. He wants to shoot 35 threes. They're not shooting as many threes as Tennessee Saturday. They're not a 3-point shooting team. He adjusted the style and became a much better team, putting more pieces together, making it work. He obviously had the injury situation, which people get tired of talking about it, but he had 2 key starters out, and Oweh was not the same, and they lost Cam Williams. But he just beat, he's 4-0 against Rick Pitino, Rick Barnes, and John Calipari. I mean, it's sort of hard to question that coaching. Those guys have 2,600 wins, and I think all 3 are in the Hall of Fame. So it's sort of silly at this point for me or anybody to say the guy can't coach, or the X and O part of it, the coaching part of it, and not to forget that whatever we think was happening early, the players obviously did not quit on this guy. They did not, the locker room chemistry, whatever was going on, which I thought was a lot of just confidence more than anything, but that completely flipped. That's not easy to do. So I think the coaching part of it, I'm taking off the shelf that the guy can't coach at this level or isn't a good coach. But the roster construction and the recruiting, I think, are very legitimate concerns.
When a coach ends up adjusting to doing something, as you pointed out, something that they really don't want to do, but it's kind of like, this is what I got, so I got to make the best of it. To me, that's one of the great compliments in coaching. When you adjust, whether you want to do it or not, you adjust to your team instead of the team adjusting to you. And I agree. And he's getting applause now, and he should get applause now. But I was just talking to Brandon Ramsey, and right now they got blank for next year. Now, come on, Gene, as a reporter and sports editor, you cover this thing forever. Now, I don't count the Gillespie Calvin that switch, because that was just a weird situation. But generally speaking, do you ever remember Kentucky in February not having 1 or 2 players signed?
I can't remember because it never happened in my lifetime, which unfortunately goes back a long way following UK. I mean, I think that is a very legitimate concern. And, I sent out a tweet after a game when they were struggling that they need to get some of these premier players. And most people agreed, but some people said something about, well, Cal got those and everybody complained about that. I don't think they need to do what Cal did. But when you have the class that you had out there last year, Kentucky needs to get 1 of those. You don't have to get 3 of them. You don't have to get 4, but they needed to get, you have 10, 12 players out there that can carry teams. Kentucky has to be in the picture for some of those guys. Maybe that was just an unusual situation, but now we're coming back this year and we're sitting at 0. I think those are legitimate concerns. Can they be straightened out? Can you straighten this team out with the portal next year? Absolutely. If he has some retention and loads up in the portal, yes. But even in the portal, Kentucky needs to get the top portal player. Well, you don't have to get them all. You don't have to get 5 of them, but you have to get 2. You have to get some premier play. You win with elite talent in the end.
Agree 100%. I find it interesting that this team, like last year, is 17-7. I just find that interesting. And I think, look, you can lose in the first round, but I don't think it's a stretch saying, and I wouldn't have said this 6 weeks ago, I know you wouldn't have either, that this team could easily be a Sweet 16 team.
6 weeks ago, I didn't think they were an NCAA tournament team. They weren't playing like one. But it has gotten better when they knew once they realized who the team was, that, you know, I'm not Aberdeen, who's a two guard today and a point guard next team. I'm not, you know, different play. Now they know what their role is. They know what they're doing, and they're fitting together. I think he's maxed out as far as I'm not saying the team is maxed out. I'm saying I don't think this team and this roster that has played, well, how many games they played? 24 games at this point is any. I don't think you could do any better than their record is with what they've had. And they can still. I'm not. I can easily see them a 16 team. Once you get there, do I think they're good enough to go much further than that? No, but are they good enough to beat almost anybody on a given night? Yeah, they can beat anybody. You know what? Once you get there and then see what happens. You may get a draw where the other team on the other bracket is made a couple of upsets, and you get anyway. Anything can happen once you get there.
I got you. Sorry for stepping on you, Gene. It's too long to play a second time. But to paraphrase, I don't know if you heard it early in the show, Nate Oates did what Nate Oates does. He's great.
I did hear that.
And how he would do the same thing with Bediako again, and he's want to help his guys. And I do believe he wants to help his guys, but I wouldn't say it's disingenuous because I think coaches do want to help their guys, but it was all about himself. Here's the part that drove me nuts, and I love Jamal Mashburn giving him a raspberry and calling him out, and it's a bunch of nonsense. If you're an NBA, want to be in the NBA, and you leave college, and your college coach says you've lost weight, and you have now a dietitian to help you eat better, if you want to go be a professional, it would seem to me, since he's already been shown how to do all this stuff when he was at Alabama, if you're not taking care of yourself properly and working hard to improve to get to the NBA, because it's not like he was a big-time prospect, and he's fallen back, and he has to go to Alabama to get a dietitian and to lift weights properly and do all this kind of stuff, I have no respect for you. I'm serious. He might be a great human being, and that's fine. You want to be a pro, act like a damn pro. You want to be a pro, don't not lift weights the way you're supposed to. You want to be a pro, don't not eat the way you're supposed to. You go to the G League, and guess what? You're slipping, then I don't respect it. I would say the same thing about broadcasting or anything else. And so this whole thing with Bediako is just ridiculous. He has to go back to college because it's more money. Gee, he has to go back to college because he's got a dietitian. Gee, and a strength coach and stuff. It's BS. Total BS. It's somebody not making the best of themselves.
Well, I don't blame Nate Oates because Nate Oates was trying to do what, but making his team better. He was full of BS, but we've had coaches here that have been done a lot of that too, and I think that's what coaches do. That's what they're very good at. I agree with what you said. I think Nate Oates trying to do that was one of the best things that's happened in college basketball this year because it made somebody finally make a dang decision and put a stop to some of this because I don't know where it was going and there didn't seem to be an end. And finally, a judge put an end to at least it going that far. And if Nate Oates hadn't done it, we'd still be wondering what's going to happen because Nate Oates didn't create this dang mess we have out there.
Oh, I agree. And by the way, I don't blame Oates for doing it. And I'm surprised more coaches haven't done it. And I bet there's a lot of private conversation, but I don't blame him for that. But his logic about, you need to come back here where you're in a cocoon and we can take care of you. Have a little responsibility.
I should have gone to the G League a long time ago if that's how you lose weight.
Didn't look at it that way, Gene. Didn't look at it that way. Before we say goodbye, nobody's going to be surprised if Kentucky loses the game Saturday. I think it's going to be rebounding in the officials.
This is a really tough situation. I may be wrong about this. I don't think Alabama or Florida is quite as bad a matchup with Kentucky. I think Alabama tends to be a bad matchup the way they play. But Florida, first of all, I think they're a legit team. They're the only team in the SEC right now. I think they probably win it all with some breaks. But Kentucky can play big. I mean, Kentucky's got 4 really big players. They have some physicality. Their players aren't as good as Florida's are. They're not as experienced, but they're better at guard. I'm not going to be surprised if they don't go down and make this real competitive. Now, Florida may just put it to them, and any way it goes when this game is over, I'm not going to say Kentucky's season is lost or whatever. They can't. This team has proven they're resilient and they'll come back. But I think they might make a good game out of it.
I don't want to use the word fear. I'm a little concerned that how the whistle is blown might have a lot to do with it, because if you're playing Garrison and Marino together, which seems obvious, if some of these guys at Kentucky get in more foul trouble than the Florida guys, I think they're screwed. And you hate to say that, but call the game fairly, both sides fairly. That's all I ask.
But can't Mo get in there and mix up with their big guys?
Absolutely.
And Jelic, I mean, he brings something. I mean, what is he? How tall is he? 6'11"? I mean,
yeah.
Kentucky can go tall. Now, again, they're not as experienced and maybe not as talented as Florida's big guys, but they can match the height and the size. And they're not going to win the inside battle. They just don't have to. They just can't get destroyed. And you're right. If a couple of them get in foul trouble, who knows? And Marino has been a shocker this year, and I don't know that he's ready for this one, but it's going to be fun to watch the growth of it.
I'm glad he's doing it now instead of, let's say, early December. Let's put it that way. Gene, as always, bless your brother. I'm sorry for messing up the schedule. I'll just say it publicly. It was all on me. And I appreciate the heck out of you. Appreciate your friendship, dude. Thank you so much.
Same to you anytime, Alan. Take care.
Have a great day. Gene Abel.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, and I like his logic talking about how the big guys, right? The big guys, Kentucky has big guys. There's no question about it. And I hate to say it, we don't have time to play it. Maybe we'll play it tomorrow. But the Illinois coach ripping the officials in a calm way, and he's right. Officiating has to get better. And I really don't like picking on officials as much as I've been doing recently. I really try not to, believe it or not. But officiating must get better. It's got to get better. And I don't know how the heck they're going to do it. I'll tell you what can help you get better. Terry Page, not a very good, a great licensed massage therapist. 859-373-0578. 859-373-0578. And she texted me the other day, hey, Alan, what do you think about this? Your listeners get $10 off their first visit if they use the code Cutler when booking in February. So whether it's a text message or calling on the phone, just say Cutler. You get $10 off the first time. I hope you take advantage of it. Please use my name. Many of you have gone to see her from me talking about her. She's spectacular in Butler, Kentucky, Monday and Tuesdays, in Lexington, Thursdays and Fridays. Terry Page, a friend, a healer. She's spectacular. 859-373-0578. Nick Roush talking football. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Hey, I'm Dale Wise. I've just recently retired. I know that the electronics, if you don't keep up with it, it can get away from you and get real confusing. Republic Bank's app, I use their app, and it is so easy to use. I log in with my fingerprint, so it's super easy. I don't have to remember 50 million different passwords and all that stuff. And it lays it out just real nice.
That's Dale's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC. Data rates may apply.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler, and I've spent years on these roads. And safety isn't a slogan to me, it's real life. That's one reason I trust Volvo. Quantrell Volvo has been part of this community for years. Brentley and Mark are friends of mine, and they run the dealership the right way with care, integrity, and real respect for the people they serve. If safety, smart design, and peace of mind matter to you, start your search at Quantrell Volvo. We have the XC60, the hybrid. We love it. Best car we've had in 43 years, and it is really smooth, and we're saving money on the gas. Right now, get financing as low as 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. Visit QuantrellVolvo.com. See dealer for details.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Welcome back. Thank you, Gene. Gene Abel, outstanding. Brandon Ramsey, outstanding. Old friend Kenny Rice, outstanding. And now the pressure's on like he really cares. He's going to laugh at me anyway. KSR's Nick Roush, all about football. And Nick, I know you're going through withdrawals. So I know you saw it as soon as it came out. The football commercial that Will did. Now, I really like, but I want your opinion, that Will did for the Super Bowl, going down memory lane, and the people he used to follow and love as a little kid watching at then Commonwealth Stadium. What'd you think of it?
It's one, unexpected to get the scoopings of nostalgia from a guy who played at Louisville. Like we knew that was going to happen with Mark Pope, right? But whenever Will Stein's name was first mentioned and the coaching search was ongoing, I did not have this expected. I knew that his dad played there, so there was some ties. So I didn't expect it, but two, it's kind of awesome because we're the same generation, the same era. When he talks about the Alabama game, that was the second game I ever attended. Like all of those guys that he mentioned, those were the guys that I grew up watching, that I grew up idolizing. So it's kind of fun but it also is a reminder that the good old days, I was a part of the old days, and now I too am an old man.
You know that Alabama game, I literally was walking the sidelines and about the 30-yard line when Couch threw that to Yeast, and Yeast went in. And I don't think there was another football game I covered that had the exuberance, the goalpost went down and all that kind of stuff. It was like an explosion. By the way, I didn't predict this commercial, so let's be straight. But I wasn't surprised, especially when right after he was hired, I know you saw the picture where they took a picture where he used to sit.
Yeah.
Mom and dad and stuff like that. So it honestly did not surprise me because he grew up in the stadium and he would have played for Kentucky had Kentucky just said, yeah, son, you can walk on. It was just one of those things that just happened. And so, but it's funny how it works out. You know what else I like about him? I like that he doesn't hide the fact that he's got friends at Louisville and he loved his time at Louisville and he respects Louisville. Now he wants to beat the hell out of Louisville. But instead of being disingenuous, I really like the fact that he was so honest about his feelings about the people there and the people that helped him and how much of a good time and the career he had there. I like it a lot instead of saying, well, this is what you want to hear. And remember, the opening press conference goes, you know what? Hey, I'm grateful for the people I met in my time at Louisville. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, and you use the right word there, though, disingenuous, because let's face it, this business, there's a lot of streams being crossed, right? Like that's just kind of how it works. It's just unusual that it's a Louisville guy whose dad played at Kentucky, who played at Louisville, and then coached with a lot of guys and is bringing guys to Louisville. So it feels very new to us. But if you pull any kind of coaching staff, like, Florida's a bad example right now because it's a bunch of former UK guys with John Summerall, Brad White, and Chris Collins. But I would imagine Florida State, Miami, I would imagine there's a lot of guys that are assistants there that go from one school to the other because that's just how it works. Sure. So to act like, we as fans like to see the bad guy. They're the enemy. Why would you ever do that? But in reality, like when it's a business, things are much different. And it kind of goes back to whenever, as mad as Mark Stoops was at Eric Wilford the first time he left, like it is a business, and he was willing to bring him back to try to help fix the big blue wall. Did not go according to plan, but that's kind of how this business goes. It's very transient, and you just hope that he brings the right guys. And where I think all of this, to bring it back to the future, is exciting, Cutler, is that holy crap, there is a lot of talented high school football players in the state of Kentucky. And I mean, there are, Alan, that's been the biggest knock, right? Like that. The reason why it's hard to be good at football in Kentucky is because Kentucky high school football is not good/great. You have some years like when Drake Jackson, Cash Daniel, Landon Young, they were all Americans. You have some years where some really top end guys. You can go all the way back to Damian Harris and then Jedrick Wills, the Lexington native who started at Bama, is Cleveland Brown now. Like you have that top end talent, and it kind of comes and goes. Man, there are 15 guys in this 2027 recruiting class, seniors to be, who are power conference recruits.
Really?
I mean, it is, and surprisingly, the school that has the most of them is Cal, Christian Academy in Louisville. They've got Jihad Brown, who's a big-time receiver target. I get some of them mixed up because there's transfers and all that, but Hunter Cantwell, who played at Louisville with Will Stein, and I think Stein just hired Keith Tobridge, who coached at Cal. Like I'm getting some of the extremes crossed, but point being, there's a lot of good guys, not only in the city of Louisville, Northern Kentucky. There's a kid, Fryman, who is committed to play baseball at Louisville since he was an 8th grader, but is now being recruited by all these schools to play wide receiver. So, point being is there's really good players here, and it's going to make these recruiting battles really amplify the intensity of this rivalry.
Yeah, plus, within 200 miles circumference, there's tons of players in Ohio that Joker Phillips wouldn't go after. So I think there's enough talent to win here. I've always thought that. I do remember there were some coaches who said there were maybe 8 or 10 a stretch players who were good enough to play in the Southeastern Conference. So maybe it's changed. Either that or some of these coaches were being a little disingenuous and thought they couldn't get them. And so to look better, probably a little combination of both. Let me throw something at you. Just hit me now. You've given me an epiphany, and you'll tell me if I'm blowing this up or not. You know who? Now you're going to give me a look. We know each other a little bit now. You're going to give me a look. I'll bet you a cup of coffee you're going to give me a look. You know who Will Stein reminds me of for the circumstance?
Hit me.
Rich Brooks.
Yeah.
Let me finish. First of all, if you tell me you think I'm way off, Nick, I want you to say that.
Well,
no, let me explain, because most of the public doesn't realize this. It's too long ago. He was the backup quarterback at Oregon when Terry Baker won the Heisman Trophy, and I watched the game where he had, I think it was an 89-yard run to win the game. He was the backup quarterback, and then he becomes the head coach at where?
At Oregon. I see what you're I'm picking up what you're putting down, Cutler. Both Oregon guys. And to your point, people forget that Stein actually started, I don't know if it was 2010, 11, one of those years. I want to say it was his junior year. He earned the starting job at the beginning of the season. It was him, Dominic Brown, who eventually got converted to running back, or this guy named Teddy Bridgewater. And Stein started at Commonwealth Stadium, threw a pretty touchdown pass in the first quarter, and then he got hurt. And because of that injury, they passed the sticks off to Teddy Bridgewater, and then the following year, Bridgewater led him to a Sugar Bowl win. So in that regard, I definitely, okay. Oh, see, you're not too crazy after all, Alan. You're a little crazy, but you're not too crazy.
Well, I'm okay either way. Let me clear something up. Okay, he played college football at Oregon State, where he was a defensive back and the backup quarterback, and he was the head coach at Oregon. So he had both of those schools, just like Will Smith. Will. I've called him Smith before. I'd like to say it. I've done this now 2 or 3 times. I have no idea.
Well, the Dodgers got a Will Smith from Louisville.
Yeah, catcher. Really good catcher at Louisville on some really good Louisville teams, and it's supposed to be a great guy. Point is that, Brooks, and by the way, nobody here, and they shouldn't, there's no reason anybody here understands what goes on between Oregon and Oregon State. So, it's in their own way, it's a little Kentucky Louisville. I think it's just Kentucky Louisville, and it is. But in different parts of the country, as you know, there's some really heated stuff. I've been at Oregon enough to know that there are some people who like Oregon can't stand Oregon State. And a friend of ours, neighbors, went to Oregon State. Oh man, you say the word Oregon, and this guy, just lovely man, a gentleman, like in his 70s, and the whole thing. You don't have to see when you talk about the other schools. So there's a lot of this all across the country. So Brooks did both.
I mean,
is doing both.
They call it the Civil War. Well, they did until like a year ago. This is maybe a superfluous thought, Mr. Cutler.
I wouldn't use that word.
But isn't it funny that Oregon, it's very appropriate that ducks and beavers are their mascot.
Yes, it is.
That just fits the area. Never been there, but it feels like it fits.
It does, actually, especially with all the water there. There's a lot of water there. There's a lot of lakes and ponds and water, and the ocean is totally different there. It's rough and cold. Let me tell you this. You don't want to go in the ocean out there in July.
Yeah, okay.
It's cold, dude. It's cold.
I'll go fishing by Coach Brooks' spot. He looks like he's got a nice setup out there.
It's beautiful. And he's invited me to come visit him, and I haven't done it, and I need to.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll pour a tall
He
glass.
would have said it, but I've driven by a number of times Oregon State's baseball and football field. It's right there on the roads from where we're going and stuff like that. And he's kept his house, his same house forever. And I've seen pictures. I haven't been there. He's got a beautiful view of the whole valley and stuff like that. It's absolutely gorgeous. And you know what he's famous for, by the way?
Those tomatoes.
Yeah, BLT sandwiches.
Oh, can't be when it's BLT season. I myself dabble in a little home gardening. When it's BLT season, you can't get enough of them.
I bet his BLTs are spectacular. If not, Karen makes the BLTs. Okay. One of the things that, and now we're in the hype season, and I'm excited that Stein is here. His brother Smith went somewhere else. I'm excited that Stein is here. But I'm also cautious because it's a hype season. I'm good with it. And there's enthusiasm. Here's the point, because you follow this, Nick. You're in tune with recruiting big time, 100 times more than me. Let's just call it what it is. You're hearing, and I'm hearing, and you're hearing even more, that they are creating an enthusiastic bubble around the state, an enthusiastic kind of bubble with everybody they're recruiting, and they're very aggressive, and they're selling energy, and seems to be working. And when I say seems to be, let's see what it ends up doing. I'm optimistic that it will, but I think that's a fair way to do it instead of just going gaga. Are you feeling an energy around recruiting that you have never seen before, or is that too much of a stretch? And how many years do you go back just to put a fairness? Nick Roush of KSR does a lovely job covering football. Give me your taste.
I wouldn't say it's unprecedented, Cutler, but it is different. If you recall, back in 2014, Stoops' first full recruiting cycle, him and Vince went to Ohio, and there was a brief moment where Kentucky had the number one recruiting class in the country. They hit the pavement hard. They were selling the vision, the future, and they got a bunch of 4-stars, and they got them to commit early, so it could really shoot them up the rankings. And it was, it was a strategy, and ultimately they finished top 25 because then Georgia and Texas and all those other guys start getting their players. But in that regard, it's similar. I think the part that's different, at least based on recent years, is one of the things that stands out is just how relentless these guys are. There's a saying that I mess up every time, but it's like, what do you got to do? You got to eat it every day. You got to feed it every day. Recruiting's like drinking water. You got to do it every day. It's something like that. But the regularity and
day. That was the old expression before your time.
There we go. But like Will Stein takes his wife on vacation because he finally has a little break, and he's sending recruits videos from the pickleball court, like happy birthday. So there's that aspect of it. And then the other part that is unusual is we've seen, Stoops obviously goes to Ohio. Brooks went to Georgia, where there's a lot of connections on the staff are in areas you haven't seen Kentucky recruit before. Texas and Louisiana, and particularly Texas. They got these 7-on-7 events now, Alan, and there was a line that these coaches shared with 24/7 where it was like, it's not like this is just kind of a one-off. Like, we know these guys. These relationships are long established. We've known a lot of these coaches for a long time, and so we are believing in it. And then I think the third element of it, too, is that Stein has a proven scheme, a proven track record that's been successful in this era. Whereas Stoops, there's no doubt about it. Dude coached some defense at Florida State. Times have changed. Stein's scheme, I think, is another thing that jumps off and is a good selling point for a lot of these younger guys, one of which is Seneca Driver. He's the number one tight end in America, the number 25 player overall, is dunking on people's faces at Boyle County High School. An exceptional athlete who just watched Will Stein produce a second-team All-American tight end at Oregon, who's going to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft, in Kenyon Sadiq. So there's proof of concept in this scheme for players at certain positions, and I think that's certainly going to pay dividends early in the recruiting process.
Tape of Seneca playing basketball. He's a monster.
Dude, it's fun, Alan.
Monster. I mean, could he play here? he's probably stronger than anybody on the basketball team now. I'm serious.
I get Juanel DeWalt flashbacks, and it's a shame we don't have video of that dunk that gets talked about from the Sweet 16. I need video of that dunk in the Sweet 16.
Ask Keith Farmer, because that was happening when I was doing sports at 18. He could dig it up.
Here we go.
That's interesting. I forgot about this dunk. Reaching back the way he did, one of the greatest dunks of all time. I got 30 seconds. Give one thing about football we haven't talked about. Your thing about him dealing with recruits while he's on vacation, the pickleball court, Nick, that was really good stuff. You got something else about football, a little tidbit?
I just am. This is the one part of the year where things are slow. The one part. Because spring football will be starting right around SEC tournament play. And I think you're going to see it's going to be maybe, I don't want to say similar to Mark Stoops' first one where they had all those people show out, but there's going to be a real push, a real marketing push, and a real competitive push in spring ball we haven't seen in a long time. And for that, I'm pretty excited because it's going to feel real. It's going to feel new, and I think Big Blue Nation's going to be fired up for it.
Okay, so Rich Brooks did Oregon State. Stein did Louisville, Kentucky. I think in that way they're very similar, and you give me 1 point for an epiphany, yes?
Yes, just one, though. We're not getting two because they were at two schools, okay? I know. I see what you're trying to do, Alan, and it's superfluous.
We're at two schools, and the rivalries of each particular state. I was happy with one. Now I want two. You're cheating me, Roush. Hey, seriously, you do a great job at KSR. Give yourself a great plug, please.
At Roush KSR on Twitter. We're also on the YouTube's Kentucky Sports Radio. You know all the links, everything. And thanks for hanging out.
Oh, thank you for doing the show. You are anything but superfluous when you join the show.
I try my best. I try.
You're wonderful. Thanks, Nick. Have a great day, brother. See ya. Does he stick in superfluous every time he's on the show?
Yes, he does. I think he got 4 in today from what I could hear.
Okay, I'm going to make myself a note. We need to have a superfluous meter.
Yeah. Or maybe an over-under time from when he joins to when he first says it.
Oh, you know what?
I think that's a good.
Or over and under how many times he said it, in a 15-minute span.
Yeah.
Superfluous. And you saw he had this big smile on his face when he said it, like, I got you, Cutler. Yeah. I got you. What a fun day. What a fun day. Kenny Rice, Brandon Ramsey, Gene Abel, Nick Roush, fun. And how about Stein sending recruits information on vacation with his family from the pickleball court? That is a wonderful thing. Mark Pope live tomorrow, right at noon. Chris Lofton tomorrow. Jerry Tipton tomorrow. Chip Rupp tomorrow. And one of the things on Friday will be Ben Cleaver, the Studley pitcher for Kentucky. We taped it. John Y. Brown. Jimmy, if you saw it Thursday night, the ABA documentary hits Amazon Prime. And I can't wait to watch it. And the Coops twice on Friday. We've got a hell of a week. What a week. Jimmy, as always, thank you. Appreciate you, brother. Have yourself a blessed day. Please tell one friend about the show. That's how this sucker is spreading. Podcast will be up in about a half hour. Alan Cutler, Brad Taylor.